Hello, everyone. My name is Cynthia Rodriguez, and I am going to be your course tutor of this diverse and inclusion course here at Faculdade, Cultura, Inglesa. And I really, really hope you enjoy this course as much as I enjoyed putting it together. So, let me first introduce myself a little bit because you've been in touch with me for a while now. So, it's good to know a little bit about who you'll be listening to, right? So yeah, as you can see in my biodata, I've been in EOT professional for 16 years now, and I've done lots of things in the field. Of course, my number one thing is teaching English. That's something I'm passionate about, but my biggest passion nowadays is basically work with inclusive practices and diversity. My life inside of this special education needs and working with people with special education needs and with diversity, it started back in 2012 when I volunteer work back in England when I was still living in England. But it started in the ELT world in 2016 when four friends of mine and I got together and it started this Voices Rusty So SIG. SIG is a special interest group in which we study something specifically to provide information on a specific topic for all Bristol sellers around Brazil or the world. And in Voices, for Voice specifically, we talk about gender inequality, we talk about uh, gender equality, gender and sexuality as well, LGBTQI issues. And it was with Voices that I had the chance of first delivering talks, workshops, and even plenary talks on the topic of diversity. Also, in 2018, in Brazil International Conference based in Caxias do Sul, I had the chance of coordinating and put together my first course on diversity. And it was basically special education needs and inclusive practices. And there I presented mostly about gender and sexuality, but then I started developing my work throughout, learning diverse as well in many other things. Not only I am a volunteer for Voices versus Sick, but I'm also a volunteer for English to Transform, an English course designed basically and coordinated by Paolo Capistrano, one of a big friend of mine, and nowadays, of course, because we met inside of English Transform, and it's an English course aimed at LGBTQIA people in vulnerable situations. So the course is for free, and together we have a group of English teachers, material designers, and teacher trainers, and many different things. So there, I basically do everything Paula asks me to, including video lessons during this quarantine moment we've been living. So that's enough about me now. So let's learn a little bit about the course you're going to take. So this course is divided in three moments, and this course is a little bit different from any other course you'll find on inclusion and diversity for many different reasons. And I'll tell you while I'm explaining the course. So, number one, in moment one, we're going to talk about diverse and inclusion. This is when we're going to talk a little bit about our privileges to understand who we are, and because understanding who you are is the first step towards learning empathy, learning how to, well, developing empathy more specifically. And that's only when we develop empathy that we're actually able to embrace individuality. That's why these two things are together. In this course, we're also going to mention gender and sexuality. So that's when I'm going to talk about the acronym and many other things connected to gender and sexuality. And of course, I will never ever forget talking about bullying because every time we talk about inclusion, we got one problem. And this problem is bullying because people don't usually accept differences. One slight difference between this course and many others that in this one we will discuss representativeness inside of course books, and I'll also try to help you develop a more critical eye to images found in common ELT handouts. What I mean by that is that imagine when you need an activity, and then you go online and you download an activity from the internet. And the activity sounds perfect, but then when you look at it very closely, you might find that the images chosen to be part of that lesson are not inclusive or very prejudiced sometimes. So When you develop those eyes, you're able to adapt your materials to make sure you represent and you include each and every of your students in the classroom. So that's moment one. Moment two, we'll talk about learning diversity. In many course books and other places, people talk about special education needs. As I put here, special education needs common features and tools to create an inclusive classroom. But throughout the course, you will see that I would prefer to use the expression learning diversity. Since we're talking about diverse, we talk about di- uh, diverse ways of learning as well. Since this is a short course, moment one should last 4 hours, moment two should last 4 hours as well. So here I'll focus on in Down syndrome, autism and spectrum disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, dyslexia, vision hearing impairment, and gifted students. Of course, I'm not going to talk about the severe cases of Down syndrome or autism or the severe case of visual or hearing impairment because these because unfortunately we don't have the time for that. So, but although there are several courses even inside of Faculdade de Cultura Inglesa, there is this extension course on special education needs. So if you go there, you learn lots, and you learn each one of those things much deeply. But now I cannot go into all of those details. So I'll basically talk about high functioning autistics, the autistic people, and those that are easily found in a language school classroom. You Because in a regular school it's easier to find more diversity when it comes to this kind of thing, but not inside of a language school. So I'm focusing mostly on students you find inside of language school, but those we also refer to regular schools, and you'll see that. And in moment three, now we're going to talk about social emotional learning and nonviolent communication. For the social emotional learning and the activity you see connected to social emotional learning, you help your students to embrace individuality and learn who they are. So to raise awareness of their own selves, because that's only when you know ourselves that we're able to look at others and try to find similarities and differences and embrace those differences to create a group. So there's very interesting activities that could be used throughout the year, like in the beginning or in the middle of the course, at the end of course, or anytime if necessary, to help the individuals in a classroom become a group and a solid group more specifically. And also, one of the problems we have usually when we work with inclusion and diversity connects to parents' beliefs. Sometimes they feel like their child might be losing because they are studying with someone with an autistic student, and the autistic student might disturb the classroom a little bit. And then the parents come and complain, saying that their kid don't want to be there with that student, which is some sort of bully as well. That's where everything starts. But then through nonviolent communication, you will learn some ready-made sentence that will help you deal with parents. But mostly using violent communication, you can use that in classroom. You can use it to work with students. If you go through very difficult situations, you might go through in life mostly, not on the side of school, but mostly how to deal with parents that might complain. So that's what this course is all about. So, and just to close, I strongly recommend that you follow the course exactly in the way it is put in the platform, because it was thought in a way that everything would connect and everything would make sense together. However, of course, if you have a dyslexic student now and you want to learn first about the dyslexic student, go for it. You'll see that this is a 10-hour course, but I'll leave lots of extra materials and extra videos and pages and sites you can go for to learn more about it if you want. So you can take 10 hours or 40 hours. It all depends on how far you want to go. So follow the sequence, watch every introduction videos. They are very important because they will guide you throughout the whole moment. And firstly and mostly, I hope you have a great time. And I'll see you soon. Goodbye.